to another video. Now, I believe this is the fourth video in my vintage lingerie collection, and I'm doing it a little bit differently this time. I wanted to bring in one of my mannequins from the shop to put a lot of this lingerie on so you can see it in person and not just a flat lay, because what makes these pieces beautiful is when you actually get them on a body. So some of the pieces that you'll see today I might have included in some of the previous videos. I can't remember because I have to look back at the date to see when I last recorded one of these videos, but I'm really excited. It's one of my biggest collections that I have, the one that I love the most. And just as with lingerie in general, it really can transform how you feel. Even if someone cannot see it, you know it's there. You feel it. It gives you this whole different element of excitement and secrecy and mystery. And that's really why I love it. Now, in my shop, it's one of the biggest questions I always get, and that is what kind of foundation garments, lingerie, what did women wear under a lot of these dresses? I have so many dresses in that were built with the foundation garments in mind. And a lot of the women who wore, I have a 1950s wiggle dress and perfect darting, beautiful seams and tailoring. I've had people ask, who could fit into this? Can a human fit into this? And the original owner must have been so tiny. And I always have to remind them, they wore multiple foundation garments, whether it be a bustier, a waist cincher, and a girdle. That was very common. So even they weren't the original size of their dresses, because these dresses were made with the foundation garments as the measurements. And I find it fascinating. It was sculptural. And again, whether women of that time liked wearing them or not, I personally am one of those people that I really like wearing lingerie. I like wearing undergarments. I am not someone who's like, oh, the moment I get home, throw off my bra, it's freedom. I'm not that kind of person, but I understand why a lot of people feel that way. I like the feeling, I like the structure, but I understand why people just don't want to feel restricted. I like that. I like the construction. I like how that feels. So that's why I started collecting all of these pieces. And as the years have been going on, I have been documenting and writing down all of the different brands and the stories that are attached to each of these pieces. Now, a lot of these are pieces that I at first bought for myself. So when I first started collecting vintage lingerie back in, oh gosh, I don't quite remember when it was. I think it was around 2011, 2012. I was buying these pieces for me to actually wear. So a lot of them are in sizes that match with mine. As time went on, I started collecting any piece I could find, even if they were smaller and I wasn't able to wear them. So some of these you might see a little bit of wear, some are dead stock. The dead stock ones I didn't wear at all. I wanted to preserve them, but the stories that came from these and finding the original articles and ads about these brands and also the stories. One of the stories I'm going to be talking a little bit about is the story of the luxury clothing brand Bonwit Teller. And I have a piece from them that I'll be showing you that is Bonwit Teller by Lily of France. And again, while researching these, there are these stories that come up that I had no idea. And finding articles about how Bonwit Teller, the building, was bought by Donald Trump back in, I think it was the early 90s, either late 80s, early 90s, and how big of a controversy that was back then because of art pieces that were promised to the Metropolitan Museum of Art that were lost. Really, really fascinating. I'll link some of the articles that I reference below. There are other people who've done videos and blog posts way better than what I could ever do. So I'm just going to talk about the main points and leave all of the references down below. Now, before I start the video, I wanted to just go over kind of some of my favorite ways to incorporate vintage lingerie into my looks. Now, if I'm wearing a traditional 1950s dress. I put the full shebang on. I've worn the waist cincher, girdle part, bustier. Tend not to do that as much anymore, but if you want these pieces to be shown, there are so many different ways you can style them. Now, I don't have any help here, so you're just gonna have to use your imagination, but one of my favorite ways to wear these is either with a sheer top, wearing it underneath or over. So here I have this late 1960s Lady Marlene bustier, and what I always like to do is put this over one of my sheer tops. I have a black lace sheer top like this that I would normally wear this over or under. It depends on how saucy you want to be, but it just shows you can incorporate these into any outfit, any look. It's my favorite thing to do, and that's why I get so inspired. Now, these videos, I have so many pieces to show. There probably is going to be a continuance of, I don't know, 12, 13, 15 videos on this, and I'm trying to film them as I go. For those of you watching who don't know, I own a vintage shop and I am the sole employee, only person there, so I balance these videos with what I'm doing in my shop, so these videos don't get out as often as I would like. Now, for Halloween, I also love to do a lot of styling for my shop and styling photo shoots. And I was really excited because me and my friend Shannon, the amazing photography by Shannon Ray, did a Lisa Frankenstein inspired shoot this past Halloween. And I got to break out one of my favorite vintage boosties that I've gotten in recent years. And I believe I shared it on one of the previous lingerie collection videos. I also did a video on this entire photo shoot on its own, but I'll insert some photos here from the shoot. And I paired this beautiful bustier with a 1950s starburst crinoline and slip dress, and we played around with it. I had so much fun, but it shows how these pieces can elevate a look. Even just your stature, you stand up straighter, you just feel different in them, and I was so excited that I was able to use this. It reminded me of Frankenstein. Here, let me grab the actual bustier itself. Now, here is the bustier, and as you can see, it has these little red stitches, very reminiscent of Frankenstein. And I bought this way before I ever saw the movie, before the movie even existed. And when I saw it, I loved it, and I really wanted to do a shoot inspired by it. And I remembered I had this. Now, this is by Hollywood Vassarette, another one of my favorite lingerie brands. I have multiple bras and bustiers from them, but also nightgowns, which don't think I have any of those on the archive site. Nightgowns will be a whole other video. Ooh, I've got a lot of things I want to share and not a lot of time to do them. So you want to see a video dedicated to the vintage nightgowns, please let me know in the comments. But for now, we're going to stick to these bustiers. Now, this first one is a very unusual one, and it is a 1961 Formfit Style 300 bra. And as you can see, this was meant for easy storage. It came rolled up with its own attached little elastic band. And when you open it up, you can see this one still has its original tags on it, and it also has a little certificate of authenticity and also a little bit of a warranty, but it has the original date and everything. And I was able to find the original ad for this, and I will insert it here. Formfit was established in 1917, and they mainly were known for their corsets and girdles, and eventually went on to do bras and panties. And in 1960, they merged with Rogers, which I've talked about them a little bit. I have some of their nightgowns, beautiful pieces, and they formed Formfit Rogers. Now, Formfit is still in existence today, and it's actually owned by the brand Jockey, which you might be familiar with. But let's take a moment just to fully appreciate the uniqueness and beauty of this piece.
there is a better method to folding and rolling this up. I have not figured out what this that is yet. So one day I'll learn how to roll it up and make it look nice and pretty, but until then you'll just have to watch me struggle with it. Now this is one that is extremely special to me, and it has two interesting stories, which I will get into. But this one is I believe it's either late 50s or early 1960s keyhole bustier by Bonwit Teller, Bonneteau by Lily of France. Now, if you look at the details, this is one I have worn myself. If I have a photo, I will post it in here. But this one, it just blows my mind how stunning it is. But when I looked more into Bonwit Teller, which I was familiar with, I learned some interesting stories and history of the brand that's kind of relevant to today, but also a really, really lovely story about the original owner. Bonwit Teller was established in 1897 and was really known for its luxury. They carried French designers like Lanvin, Patou, and they really became a mainstay on Fifth Avenue. But as with most retailers, their time in retail history was starting to come to a close, and their beautiful building on Fifth Avenue was purchased and demolished by Donald Trump in 1979. Now, that wasn't without controversy, and according to Forbes magazine, as Bonwit Teller was prepared for demolition, preservationists urged Trump to save two artistic elements: a pair of 15-foot bas-relief sculptures depicting nude women dancing with scarves, and a large nickel-plated grill located over the store's main entryway were promised to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Now, Trump agreed to donate them to the Met as long as the cost and the ability to physically remove the Art Deco artifacts were not unreasonably expensive. But to the New York art community's surprise in 1980, when the demolition crew jackhammered the sculptures off of the building, in addition, the intricate grillwork was removed. The destruction drew a public outcry, and the Met received no advance notice. Now, he initially avoided any comment about the Bonwit Teller artwork, but someone named John Barron, a spokesperson with the Trump campaign, contacted the New York Daily News to discuss the situation, but no one could really find out if John Barron actually existed. So, those pieces were sadly destroyed. They did eventually find out that John Barron was actually Donald Trump, and his voice was in disguise. But of course, the Met was furious about the claims that the sculptures lacked merit. And they said, as if the Met accepting them were not of art, why would the Met accept them if they weren't of artistic merit? So it was a really sad and interesting story, one that I didn't know about. I will link the Forbes article down below if you want to learn more factoids about it. Really interesting. The sculptures are beautiful, and it's sad they were destroyed, but again, all of these clothing brands have histories behind them that just make these pieces that much more interesting. Now, when I purchased this bustier, I got a really nice card from the seller explaining a little bit of the history about it. And this bustier came from a French expatriate who married a soldier she met in France during World War II. Now, she was super homesick and spent most of her days out shopping, but rarely wore any of what she purchased. So I can only wonder what her life was like. She had all this beautiful lingerie, didn't use it, and it's transcended time, and now it's in my collection. Okay, now this bustier is extremely special to me because it's so contemporary and unusual, and it looks like pieces that you could see in lingerie shops like Betty Page Clothing, Asian Provocateur. Now, I don't know much about this specific label. It's called They Fit H&W, and I was able to find one ad online. I wasn't able to screenshot it. If I can somehow manage to get that ad, I will insert the picture here. But the beautiful structure and the construction of it, and even the little details like the elastic band on the side, this beauty is absolutely gorgeous, and I want to use this in a photo shoot so badly. I pulled one from my contemporary archive of a bustier that kind of reminds me of this one from La Femme en Noir. I had another one from Betty Page Clothing. I'll pull that out in another video, but I love to see these vintage pieces getting almost a new life in contemporary lingerie. I'll insert a photo of me wearing this one. I love it. Now this next one is something special. This stunning, soft, corally pink frilly confection is a 1960s little bra, panty, and robe lingerie set with little rosettes on the bust. Now, you've probably seen these on Pinterest, social media. I believe there's like a nice pale yellow version, blue version. I got this one in a vintage clothing lot at least a decade ago, and it's one of my favorites. Now, I've never used this in a shoot. It does have some condition issues, mainly color transfer on the robe, but I don't care. It doesn't affect its beauty any to me. There's no maker's label, so if anybody knows the maker of this particular set, please drop it down in the comments. But I'm just going to stop yapping, and we're going to enjoy this stunning trio in all of its glory. At the end of these, I like to add a little something extra to the show and tell, like this 1960s rhinestone tiara, part of a little small collection I have of vintage tiaras and crowns. So let's just enjoy its beauty.
All right, I hope you all enjoyed that video. Now, if you want to stay up to date on what I'm doing in the shop or any vintage lingerie additions or anything like that, I'll be posting all of my social links in the description box down below. You can follow my shop on Instagram at Carmine and Hayworth, on Facebook. I'm also on Blue Sky at Carmine and Hayworth as well. There, I just have fun posting different history tidbits, reposting awesome articles I find. But I love doing these videos and showing off these pieces that I love dearly, and I hope you all love them and are fascinated by them as well. Now, I've gotten questions before of if I'm ever gonna model any of these pieces, and no, not for free. I know some people watching their motives are not just to look at pretty lingerie. Sorry, my friends, that content is not free. But for now, you have my beautiful mannequin, and she displays them quite well. So I hope you all enjoy. If there are any brands that you want to see or want me to do a deeper dive in, any specific lingerie pieces you want to hear more about, let me know in the comments down below. And thank you all so much for watching. As I'm filming this video, we just hit over 500 subscribers, and I know it doesn't mean a lot to some people, mean to seem like 500 woo, but building this channel and slowly seeing it grow has given me another way to reach people and meet people, and I really enjoy having these conversations and meeting all of you and hearing about all of your experiences and what you love, and this little community that we are building together. And I appreciate it so much. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I hope I can keep doing these videos for you all, and I'm just really grateful that you are here. So thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.